Good afternoon, class. Here's my audience. Show that this is live, and I am doing this in front of a live audience. Okay, today my topic it's about ESPN's films 30 for 30. As you all know, 30 for 30 has different segments about different NFL, any professional athlete's career. Now, for that is due remembering. A lot of those time, a lot of people just have these rumors about what happened to those individuals. What happened to those individuals? Well, we're here today to kind of clear up some of those rumors and how they went about and what happened to those players and what happened to the team. So just kind of get some information on what happened. First, we're going to go over three different athletes. Well, one is two athletes and one of them is a team. The first one would be Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson was one of those players that you had to been there to actually see him play. In my opinion, Bo Jackson was handcrafted by God. That's how I view him because he just had all natural ability. It was all strength. He was just had this natural ability as if God just crafted him to play this sport or to be an athlete. He was tall. He was all the right size. He was a coach's dream. But for Bo Jackson, his career was very short. His career was very short and didn't last long. It started off in Auburn. He played baseball. And he played football in Auburn. Star athlete. He was the Heisman Trophy winner the one year that he played with Auburn. Excuse me, correction. It was a couple years that he played at Auburn, but his very first year, not only did he bring Auburn the NCAA championship, he was also the Heisman Trophy winner as well. Well, he went on to his career. He had some hiccups in his career, and during his career, he was not allowed to play baseball anymore in college because he went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because they wanted to draft him to play football. Well, before he went, everybody, he asked all the questions. Hey, is this okay? Is this allowed? They flew him out there in the whole nine. Well, when he got back, he suited up, got ready to go play baseball. His coach came outside and said, it was like, hey, Bo, let me talk to you for a moment. He goes, what's going on, coach? You're been deemed ineligible for receiving gifts. And he said, no, coach, this was okay. I talked to the head coach of the Buccaneers and everything, and he cleared it all the way through, and he said I was good to go. And the coach said no. Apparently he didn't because that's not what happened. Bo Jackson was furious at that point. He was furious. He didn't want anything to do with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, but he got drafted to baseball. His very first professional team he played for and his first contract he ever signed was baseball. So he went to play for the Kansas City Royals. That's what he did, and he played. And then later on throughout the season, he went and his agent came up to him and said, "Hey, how would you like to play football?" And he said, long as it wasn't the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, he didn't care. So, and that's what he did. And he wouldn't play it, and that's where the whole Bo knows everything. Are y'all familiar with that term? Bo knows everything. Well, Bo know everything. It was this huge thing. Bo Jackson was the very first player to ever sign a contract or have a shoe made for him, and it was a cross trainer shoe. Because again, a cross trainer, you can do everything with that cross trainer, and then so he started a lot of those things. His highlight films and stuff like that were great. Just some of the things that he did while he was playing, he was like, oh my God, did he just really do that? So that's what those kind of things went into. But his career ended short. During one game, he was playing against, he was playing football, something that he loved to do. But football he played as a hobby. That was fun to him. That's not something that he really that was fun to him. So everybody was just like, oh my God, just so good. And to him, it was a hobby. So, but one game he was playing, he injured himself. He dislocated his hip. It went out of place and then came back into place. But in that process, when it went back into the socket, it broke the blood vessel in his hip, which that ended his career. And and what they say and statistics say, if that because of his magnitude and the power and how fast he was running, that's what did it for him. If that was a regular average player, it would just been a bruise and it'd been fine. So that's the short version. I mean, that was Bo Jackson. Again, Bo Jackson was one of those players you have to been there to see it, to understand who he was, to see him play and things like that. So his career, he doesn't hold any NFL records. He doesn't hold any baseball records. He's not in the Hall of Fame. He just didn't play long enough to meet that criteria. So, that's his legacy. His legacy was really short. Now the next one is Michael Jordan. Everybody knows Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan has been the biggest, well-known basketball player to ever play the game. I mean, he's still known around the league today as being the best basketball player to ever play in the NBA. But I think a lot of people don't understand that Jordan, at one point in time, Jordan stopped playing basketball. And it was after the third championship in '93. He won the championship that year. That was the third one. That was the third one in a row. I think at that time the Chicago Bulls were the second team to ever win 3 championships in a row, consecutively in a row. That was a tough year for them because they played all 83 games. But prior to that, Jordan was on the Olympic team. So Jordan didn't get a break that year. But the Chicago Bulls as a team broke a lot of records that year. They still hold the longest winning streak for winning games in the regular season. But to go ahead and fast forward what happened with this and how at the end of that season, Jordan had some tragedy. His father was murdered. And he played the last 93, he played the championship on Father's Day. So that was a big thing for him, and that kind of set the tone because in the offseason, Michael Jordan announced that he was going to retire from basketball. And his reasons for doing it was because he felt like he didn't have anything else left to prove in the game of basketball. So throughout his troubles and what he wanted to do, he decided to play baseball because it's something that his dad brought up to him. Well, and that's what he did. He went and he played baseball. He went to several teams and played, but throughout that whole process, he was using that to kind of find himself and kind of be, to figure out what he really wanted to do. Just at the time, he just didn't want to play basketball anymore. So he played baseball, which he was successful somewhat. He wasn't, but since being an athlete and who he was and his work ethic, he just became great at it. But the whole process through that whole thing is Michael Jordan was trying to find out what he really wanted to do. Because between winning 3 championships in a row, the death of his father, basketball, he just felt like he didn't have anything else to prove. But Jordan, being the classy person that he was, he didn't think he was above anybody. He didn't think he was above anybody. So he rode the bus with the team. He rode the bus with the team. Everywhere they went, that's what they did. So that's what shows the kind of class and things that Michael Jordan had during that era. And that era lasted about 2 years for him. It lasted about 2 years. He played in Double-A, and he actually played in the major leagues at one point too. And I think during when he was in the minors is where he hit his first home run. So he did excel at the sport. He did excel at the sport. And then later on, he went to go and play he went back to the NBA and continued. He won 3 more championships after that. The next one is the Miami Hurricanes. A lot of people don't know about the Miami Hurricanes, but they were a huge team from the 80s all the way to the early 90s. They were the team to beat. They faced all type of adversity. They went through everything that you can possibly think of. That team went through. They still hold. That team carried some players that went on later to go into the NFL. Michael Irvin, Jimmy Johnson, teams like that. But though that's a team that really went through some adversity. Where they started off, they went and recruited in the urban areas during that time frame. The Miami Hurricanes started when there was a lot of riot and everything like that. So their whole thing was let's recruit in state, in house, and keep all those players there. And that's what they did. And they were very, very, very successful doing that. So, but they hold that crown. They were beating top notch teams at that point. So they were a good team now. They were the team to beat during that time frame. So that concludes my presentation. And everybody's still here. And thank you.